Hello, welcome to another episode of This, That, and the Other. And today I'm going to discuss car, one of my favorite type of car that existed, the station wagon. And what I've found on the internet, the definition is an automotive body style variant of a sedan with its roof extended rearward over a shared passenger cargo volume with access at the back via a third or fifth door, the liftgate or tailgate, instead of a trunk boot lid. The body style transforms a standard 3-box design into a 2-box design to include an A and B and C pillar as well as a D pillar. Station wagons can flexibly reconfigure their interior volume via fold down rear seats to prioritize either passenger or cargo volume. I think the SUVs today are kind of similar to station wagons. You got the driver's seats, you got the passenger seats, and you got the back kind of cargo area, kind of like what a station wagon had. American Heritage Dictionary defines it as an automobile with one or more rows of folding or removable seats behind the driver and no luggage compartment but an area behind the seats into which suitcases, parcels can be loaded through a tailgate. Yeah, that sounds about right. The early use was for specialized vehicles to carry people and luggage to and from the train station. The demand for the station wagon body has faded since the 2010s in favor of the crossover or SUV designs, but that's basically how the station wagons got started in the first place. Here's an example of a station wagon. You got the driver's seats, passenger seats, and then you've got the back compartment area. And this door opens. You can see inside of here. And let me see. Yeah, okay, the back does open. See the back here. There's these right here would open, and you could put something under there. Maybe they kept stuff like tools and spare tire, the tire jack, that kind of thing. But this is kind of like a concept car that they came up with. I think there were some real ones made of a Corvette station wagon, kind of an odd idea, but kind of cool at the same time. Like I said, I've always liked station wagons. This is what I have as an example. Kind of looks like the '55 Chevy station wagon. A lot of times in the old station wagons too, we had I think a '64 Chevy 2 Nova, and that car, the windows were basically just manual roll down windows, but the window on the tailgate was electric, and it would open electrically. It was kind of cool. There have been some station wagons that have had retractable roofs. The Studebaker Wagoneer from 1963 to 1966 had that. It would fold over and be kind of like a convertible top. A lot of the station wagons had this tailgate design, just opens up like this. But there were others. You could actually, it had like a door handle right here, and you could open it like a regular door as well on station wagons. Some of them had like both options, either one of the two that you wanted to use. And upon further observation, first station wagons were built around 1910 by independent manufacturers producing wooden custom bodies for the Ford Model T chassis. They were initially called depot hacks because they worked around train depots as hacks, short for hackney carriage, as taxi cabs were then known. They also became known as carryalls and suburban. Station wagons were initially considered commercial vehicles rather than consumer automobiles, and the framing of the early station wagons was left unfinished due to the commercial nature of the vehicles. Early station wagons were fixed roof vehicles but lacked the sides and glass that would generally enclose the passenger compartment and included rudimentary benches for seating passengers. The wooden bodies required constant maintenance. Varnishes required recoating, expansion, contraction of wood meant the bolts and screws needed periodic retightening. That was from the Woody Wagons. This is the manufacture of the wooden bodies was initially outsourced to custom coach builders because production of all the wood bodies were very time consuming. One of the first builders of wagon bodies was the Stoughton Wagon Company of Stoughton, Wisconsin, which began putting custom wagon bodies on the Ford T chassis in 1919. In the 1930s, they became more expensive and well-equipped vehicles. First all-steel body style was the 1935 Chevrolet Suburban. But even after 1935, all the way until after World War II, most station wagons were still produced with wooden bodies. Crosley in 1947 introduced a steel-bodied station wagon version of Crosley CC4. First post-war station wagon car chassis was the 1949 Plymouth Suburban, which used a two-door body style. By 1951, most station wagons were being produced with all steel bodies. They experienced their highest production in the U.S. from the 1950s to 1970s. By the late 1950s, mid-60s, there's also a period of significant variation of body styles. One of the things that really hurt station wagons around 1973 when they had the oil crisis and gas was harder to come by. By 1983, Chrysler started coming up with the Chrysler minivans. And minivans took over a lot of the production of station wagons. I do see a picture of a 1996 Buick Roadmaster Estate Limited station wagon. So Buick was making station wagons. They discontinued making them in 1996. Smaller wagons were marketed as lower-priced alternatives to SUV and minivans. Domestic wagons also remained in the Ford, Mercury, and Saturn lines. However, after 2004, the compact station wagons also began to be phased out in the United States. The Ford Taurus wagon was discontinued in 2005, and the Ford Focus station wagon was discontinued in 2008. So there were still some around being made, and I'm surprised, actually. The full-size wagons from 1950s to 90s could be optimized in their third row seating in the cargo area. The seats would be facing the opposite direction of the seats, the other two rows of seats. So you'd be seeing out the back of the car. First two-door wagons came out in 1946. Willys Jeep station wagon. Other early two-door wagons were in 1951 Nash Rambler and 1954 Studebaker Conestoga. Of course, various countries had their versions of station wagons too, which were a lot of times smaller in size than what they were in the United States. I remember the Japanese station wagons. They were kind of living in Okinawa. I thought they were pretty cool. They were smaller, but basically, I guess late 2000s, that was pretty much the end of the station wagon, and I thought it was a cool car. I would still like to someday have one, but I don't have the means to maintain something like that, and it would take a lot of a lot of maintenance, a lot of cost a fortune to get a restored one, and then restored one you really want to have a garage to put it in. Wouldn't want to have it have it exposed to the elements continuously. But anyway, that's the information I was able to find on the internet through various websites on station wagons. And like I said, looking for ideas to do in the future, shows about preserving history, especially obscure aspects of history. Sorry, I've been coughing here and there. And as always, like, subscribe, share. Thanks for watching.